Did the quarterback room at Alabama get even messier in a win?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a minute. Right now, we got to talk about some things as fans, almost dueling fans, because I'm willing to bet Jimmy's outlook is brighter than mine. Mine is not very bright.
Mine's not as bright as normal. I'll tell you
that. Alabama beats South Florida 17-3 in one of the ugliest wins in the Saban era. People love to talk about how that 2011 game of the century with LSU was ugly, 9-6. I mean, we didn't win, by the way, but that game was ugly. Shoot, that game wasn't ugly. That game was NFL-esque. This game was ugly. This game was disgusting. And, Jimmy, we learned a lot. Now, we have a lot of questions, but I think we learned a lot. My first takeaway from this is Buchner ain't it. I think we can take Buchner and move him out and say this is not going to work. Okay, because and while it may not be fair, there'll be some people saying, "Hey, you didn't give him a chance." I'm sure maybe there may not be anybody saying that. There may be some people saying he didn't get enough of a sample size. Well, if you ask me, he came in. And he's already played college football before, and Alabama put him in a great spot to succeed. Now, because he wasn't playing LSU, he's playing South Florida, a team that's already lost badly to Western Kentucky. So he gets in there, and he throws some of the worst passes I've seen in college football this year. They were so far off the mark. It was disturbing that he's able to play at this level. I'm not trying to crucify this kid. I want y'all to understand that. I'm just saying I'm calling a spade a spade. This did not look like a guy that is going to be playing at this level. Now, maybe he turns it around. Maybe he's awesome, whatever. This game that I saw, his throws were just flat bad. I'm ready to move him to the side. It's going to be a Simpson, Milroe thing from now on because they obviously aren't going to play Lonergan. That's just the way it's going to be. And maybe please refute that claim. I thought if you were going to play Lonergan, you'd have played him yesterday. That's what
I think the thing with Lonergan is simply knowledge of the offense and scheme. So I do think Lonergan is still a possibility for this Alabama team. I just think the later we get in the season, the more likely it is. In other words, if this game had been week 8, Lonergan may have started the game or certainly played. I just think Lonergan's still fast consuming, fast learning the scheme, the offense. And people think that it's not a simple thing, especially if the quarterback has to know everything, including changing plays and pre-snap reads and post-snap reads and how we do things 100 ways that as fans we never even think of. But it's just going to take a hot minute with him. And if people disagree and say that's crazy, other true freshmen play, count them up. Spend some time researching it. 130 teams playing. I'd like to know myself how many have a true freshman starting a quarterback right now out of the 130 teams that are out there. I'm sure there are some, but my guess will be less than 10.
All right. We're going to talk quarterback. I mean, maybe the rest of the year. So I want to shelve that for a second and talk about the overall mental state of the team. Jimmy, we heard all week, and you and I even called out the team for this. We're pissed off. Those are things some of the players are saying. We're going to get this is fixable. And I don't know what's going on. Do you have an AM radio in your background?
That thing behind me. I'm on vacation for people that don't know, and staying with friends in Destin. That is actually a telescope.
No, I was saying I heard something. I don't even know what that was.
There's no telling what's going on. I think there's 3 couples staying here in this condo.
Okay, let me say this. This team didn't look pissed off. This team looked apathetic. And I don't know another. Clearly, they were the better team. More athletic, bigger, stronger, faster. Clearly, because anybody with a pulse would have beaten Alabama yesterday. I mean, a lot. Missouri would have beaten Alabama yesterday. That's if you want to talk about where I think the floor is, and I'm not trying to take a shot at Missouri. They're pretty good this year. But I'm saying Missouri would have beaten Alabama yesterday. I think we can.
No question.
Okay.
No question.
So we've got a lot to fix. And I don't know that this team I tweeted this yesterday, and some people agreed, and a couple of people thought maybe I was going overboard. I've lost faith in this team right now because, and this is on me, because for years now, it took me a while to get there, but when I finally did, I was like, Nick Saban will handle it. This team will handle it. Whatever it is, we'll get over it. We'll be fine because that's what we do. I no longer believe that right now. This team's got to earn my trust back. And now they don't care about my trust. I understand that. But I'm saying for me as a fan, and I think I'm not alone, that a lot of people are going to feel this way, that this team has taken a decade and a half of really, really, really hard work and success and made it where it seems like they're just rolling the ball out there and thinking they're going to win. And, man, the SEC is cool. So I just think some things got to change, Jimmy. And I don't know what, but I know I said this yesterday too, that you know, I feel like it's time to play some freshmen, play a Justice Haynes, and some people say, well, we're playing Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor. That's right. And that's a start because Caden Proctor is going to be good. He was awful yesterday. So be it. Caleb Downs has not off to the start I thought he'd be off to, whatever. Play Justice Haynes, play Richard Young. Shoot, I would have played Lonergan. If you can throw out another, didn't James Smith recover the fumble yesterday? I was glad to see that.
He played quite a bit. He sort of replaced Otis, not as a starter.
Yeah.
James Smith didn't replace Jaheim Otis as a starter, but he replaced Jaheim Otis in the rotation. We kept a 6-man rotation, and he was the 6th guy. And I thought he actually played okay. I thought he played fairly well, really. And it's really my, not rant, but one of my first takes in terms of what I want to get across is one of the things that will bother me a little bit this week is when they talk about the team has disappointed us, and boy, this isn't the team I thought they'd be. I want to separate the offense from the defense. The defense played well yesterday. That can't be lost, and they gave up 3 points that were handed to them by the special teams. That wasn't the defense.
But did they, Jimmy? And again, yes, but we all first of all, South Florida's putrid. They're not good.
They are.
Okay,
but their offense is better. Their offense is better than their defense. I mean,
okay, true. But let me ask this about the defense. And again, I'm going to give you plenty of moments to tell me how wrong I am. You know, I thought we got a lot of penetration. I thought we got a lot of pressure. We can't tackle. The quarterback got out. He was swallowed. It was either Tim Smith, or a Boyd B, I can't remember, was swallowed. And the quarterback got out of it. And I'm thinking, this isn't Michael Vick. I mean, why can't we bring this guy down?
There were individual moments from the defense that weren't good, like individual snaps and some tackles that were missed. Like you said, we had that guy trapped in the backfield numerous times. The one thing that they did that worked, is when their quarterback scrambled around. I mean, it wasn't even design runs. It was just scrambles. We lost contain on him a couple of times. But I think generally, even when you're playing a bad team, we held them to 3 points and 260 yards, despite the offense continually giving them the ball back. They had the ball a lot. They had a lot of possessions because we had a lot of possessions because we were always punting the ball. And they had virtually zero production. And again, their 3 points came when they recovered the Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid mistake. They recovered that and then made like 4 yards and then kicked a field goal. And that's how they scored their 3 points. And again, 260 yards when it virtually almost half of it came on quarterback scrambles, So I think the defense played well. They had 5. I mean, we're like, there needs to be a pass rush. They had 5 sacks. I think they had 10 tackles for loss. So that was a good day for the defense. It was absolutely one of the worst offensive days at Alabama since I would say Shula. I would even go back to Stallings. I mean, in terms of like that offense was a pop gun offense, and I will go off on the offense whenever you're ready for me to. But the offense was really bad, and Nick Saban's responsible for that. It's Nick Saban. I mean, I know everybody under the Saban era wants to blame underlings, Golding and Bill. Nick Saban's responsible for all of it, all the time. So I would start with him. That was not a good performance by coach. I mean, he didn't have his team ready to play, and he has let the offense sort of run amok, which brings me to Tommy Rees. And I'll just say that any criticism of mine about the offense, and there's a lot, but it starts with Tommy Rees's decision, and I'm sure he played a part in this, to start Tyler Buchner. I think we're showing poor leadership and poor team first decisions, because it's completely clear to us that watch that we had two better options than Buchner, and didn't start either one of those kids, and it produced the ugliest half of offense I've seen at Alabama in a couple of decades.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, there is no doubt about that. That was, and I'm going to tell you, I wonder if, I'm going to mute you, Jimmy, while we're doing this, see if that's better. I wonder if this was Tommy Rees trying to make his mark, and like, okay, yeah, I'm going to take my guy and I'm going to do my thing. And boy, that was a miscalculation. And we can get into that some more. But right now, I want to tell everybody about Betterhelp. Look, this episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. And man, I'm telling you, if you've ever been out there, and if your mind's ever racing at night, if you're ever just got a lot of worry on your mind, and I've been there, I promise you, where things just keep you up. You're scared to death. I mean, there were times I woke up in the middle of the night just in a cold sweat, just thinking about stuff that, frankly, you should be able to handle. You should be able to deal with. But at the time, I couldn't. And I knew I needed some help. I mean, because it was just a mental health thing. And I would encourage you, if you're thinking of starting therapy, to give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Those are all three crucial points of therapy, because you don't want therapy to be something that adds to your stress. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. That's another thing. I've had therapists that I haven't liked before. I've had therapists that I love before. And if you find one that you're not jiving with, then you want to go find somebody that will be able to help you a little bit better. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnCollege today to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/LockedOnCollege. You will really appreciate this. And I'm telling you, I can't encourage it enough. I've been there and I understand. And look, sign up for our subtext. And I promise you, if anybody thinks I'm not, sign up for our subtext right here. I've got it up there. Join subtext.com/LockedOnBama. It's $4.99 a month. You get the first 2 weeks free. And yeah, you're gonna love this too, because Jimmy and I text. And if you want to just reach out to me personally, you can do that, and I'll tell you about it. I don't have a problem with that. All right, Jimmy. I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight about where to go here, but you got me on something about the Tommy Rees thing. And here's my deal: that I feel like Tommy Rees tried to make his mark. I do. And he thought, okay, Milroe's not good enough. Now, here's another thing. He was calling plays for Buchner that felt like those would be perfect plays for Milroe. It kind of felt that way. Now, maybe we didn't see enough for me to really say that, but as the game was progressing with Buchner in there, that's what I thought. And yet we can talk about Rees a lot. I don't think Rees is a long-term answer at Alabama anymore. Again, just things I've lost faith in. It didn't take me long to lose faith in this guy, because I've seen the Texas game and now I've seen this game. And I'm just not – I'm losing faith in him. Here's another problem that I have, and this goes back to what I said about playing freshmen. And I know we're playing some freshmen. You don't need to tell me that. This is why I played Justin Haynes yesterday. You know what we needed yesterday, Jimmy? A human B12 shot. We needed a shot right in the tuchus that would give us some energy. And you know what Justice Haynes has done ever since he's been on campus? Is impress everybody and make everybody – he is the Mark Ingram of this generation. Now, is he exactly Mark Ingram? Probably not. But, I mean, he's really, really good. and he gives us a shot in the arm. And I know that he may not be great at pass protection, maybe. I don't know. We haven't seen him enough. He's better than Jase McClellan. Jase McClellan had a fine game, had 70-something yards maybe. But he's not great in pass protection. I had several people reach out to us on Twitter and say that. And I thought they're right. Now, let's talk about the good for just a second. And you can comment on all this. I'll mute myself. But I want to put something up there about Roydell Williams. Thank you, Roydell Williams. Talk about your bright spots. Roydell Williams, 17 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Would have had another touchdown. It was one of 2 touchdowns brought back to penalty. We also had a flag that cost us an interception, and we had 2 touchdowns brought back by penalty against Texas. So my point is, again, all the things that we keep talking about, they're fixable. They don't get fixed. The penalties are still an issue. They killed us at Tennessee last year. They killed us everywhere. And we cannot seem to get it fixed. And I don't know if it's coaches. I don't know if it's players. I don't know if it's mentality. I don't know what it is. But I know this. And a lot of times I've been kind of hard on the Alabama fans sometimes. We showed up at Texas. We showed up in droves. That's one of the best atmospheres I've ever been around for an Alabama game. For any game. We showed up in Tampa. There were a lot of Bama fans in Tampa. And the product on the field is not matching the enthusiasm from the fans. And that's a little disturbing to me.
That was supposed to be a bright spot?
The bright spot, it was a small spot. I didn't say how big the spot was. And
now, there were some good things. First of all, you won the game. I mean, it could have been the most devastating, most humiliating loss that I could remember. It would have been worse than 07 Monroe for all sorts of reasons, but it would have been. So you win the game. That's good. Ty Simpson, I think, showed potential. I don't know that the Ty Simpson I saw is ready to win SEC football games, but I think he can be that guy. I think eventually he can. I thought he showed some good things. The throw to Dupree, which was easily the pass play of the game, was just fantastic. I mean, that was A+, and you can see just in that play what kind of upside and potential Ty Simpson has. So I think that's a bright spot. The running backs, both Jase and Roydell, but particularly Roydell, that was the most productive our running backs have been all season long. The running backs were more productive against South Florida and this disaster than they were against Texas and Middle Tennessee. That's a bright spot. Isaiah Bond caught 4 balls. That's a bright spot. The defense as a whole gave up virtually next to nothing, 3 points and 260 yards against an offense that's going to put up better numbers than that in every other game they play this year. That's generally a bright spot. I think the defense is coming along, and I think the defense we're going to see against Ole Miss next week will be good enough to win the game. What I'll be talking about, Luke, all week is, can our offense play good enough to beat Ole Miss when I know that our defense will? I don't know. I think it's a heck of a decision they've got to make a quarterback. Ty or Jalen, I 100% agree with you, Luke, that I don't see how Buchner would be in that discussion at all. I think in terms of what Coach Saban needs to do. Coach Saban, he doesn't need input from any of the other coaches. What Coach Saban needs to do is decide on the quarterback who gives us the best chance to beat Ole Miss. Is it Ty or Jalen, Coach Saban? You tell us. But pick one and hopefully play 60 minutes with that guy because you've made the right decision. But, Luke, I can't help but think, as we sit here right now in terms of forecasting, right now, if you ask me, okay, what's the most likely scenario? I think Ty Simpson starts the game when we get behind and Milroe's got to come off the bench to try to save it. And it makes my stomach churn thinking of that. Is like, does that feel inevitable to everyone that Ty's going to start, but Jalen's going to have to save it? Or best case scenario, and hopefully it happens, Ty starts, plays 60 minutes, and Alabama wins, and we're talking about we've got our quarterback of the future. The future's now. This is the dude. Hopefully that happens. I do think Ty's the one that's going to get that shot.
I think Ty's going to get the start. I think we're about to see a 2-quarterback system. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think we have to do it. And the reason I think we have to do it is because while Ty wasn't awful. I'll tell you what, let me tell everybody about Athletic Brew. We're going to talk about Ty and Jalen here in this second segment because I think that's coming. But right now, I need to tell everybody about Athletic Brewing. Now is time for your Game Changers of the Week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Much like Roydell Williams, I've already said it, Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make a non-alcoholic beer that actually tastes good. I'm telling you, these are delicious. We got some samples. I've tried them. I love them. Normally I'm not a non-alcoholic beer drinking guy. These are awesome. They're fantastic. Love them. Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Trust me on this, full of flavor and well-crafted, just like a full-strength beer. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning and beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft non-alcoholic beer, including IPAs, golden, sours, and more. And again, I'm not a huge, like beer connoisseur guy, but the idea of the sour beer, like, intrigues me. And, but you can't, anyway, I love the ones they sent me. That's all I can say. They're fit for all time, so you can drink them anytime, anywhere, and make any activity even more enjoyable, like watching a big game or at your kid's game, tackling work or working out, whatever. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your online order. That's Locked On at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer. Exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times, so you can be too. Now, that last part I just added, I just think that's pretty good. Hey, I got my degree in marketing. I mean, do what you want to with it. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying I got my degree. All right, Jimmy, when it comes to quarterbacks, and this is – I said at the beginning, we're going to try and talk about something else. We're going to talk about quarterbacks all week. I can't get away from quarterbacks. I do want to throw this in there. I want this team to quit talking. Don't tell me I'm pissed you off you are anymore. Let's see it. Let's see how pissed off you are. Again, one more bright spot, and I think about these as we go along. That last drive was good. That last drive was really good. They pushed forward. We had 2 quarterback sneaks that got us in the end zone. I do hate it that Roydell Williams didn't score that touchdown. I thought he deserved it, but whatever. I want this team to quit talking. Don't say anymore. And then the other thing that it doesn't bother me, because obviously if you're hurt, you're hurt. But Tyler Buchner was the one talking about how mad he was, and then he can't play. And I know he's hurt. I understand. I'm not dogging him for being hurt. I'm just saying, when you say something like that and then you don't get to play, and then the team doesn't show up pissed off as you said they were going to be, it just puts a damper on the whole thing. And we had no, that's the other thing that bothered me a little bit. Missing Booker might hurt. Saban made a big point about missing Kendrick Law. How many catches does K-Law have this year? Not many, if any. And he's got a kick return. And I've got you on mute, Jimmy, because of that background, so I'll put you off in a second. But anyway, I just thought that was weird. One more thing about quarterbacks, and I'm going to let you go off. I definitely think we see a platoon system coming between Milroe and Simpson, with Simpson starting, Milroe coming in maybe in situational at first to give us some kind of new look. And I think the crowd will like this. I do. I think everybody's sort of on board now with Milroe's got to play some. He got to, because it can't be Buchner. But you know what bothered me about Ty Simpson yesterday? And his throw was the second best throw of the year. The first best throw I thought was Milroe's deep ball against Middle Tennessee State. The second best throw of the year was Simpson to C.J. Dupree. Now, where Simpson disappointed me, we're 3rd and 15 or 17 or some long number. Simpson breaks contain. Simpson breaks contain. He's running for a first down. He makes a cut. That was a nice cut. He got about 4 yards, 5 yards maybe to go. And if he dives, I think he has a shot. Or if he, just puts his shoulder down, I think he has a shot. It sure looked like he slid. Now, maybe his ankle gave out because it was awkward, but it looked like he slid. And see, that's the first thing that I thought about was, what would Jake Coker do right there? Jake, WWJD, what would Jake do? Jake would have barreled over somebody. And that's where I think if Simpson had done that, I think he wins everybody over. I think he's like, okay, now we got to do, because if you remember when Jake Coker did that against Texas A&M back in 2015, that's when the team was like, Jake's our dude.
Just one brief thing. I think the best throw of the year was Milroe's touchdown to Jermaine Burton in the Texas game. The lap, but that's just a minor thing. But I do think Simpson's throw to Dupree was on the very short list of best throws we've seen this year. And again, I think it just showed in that one play what potential Ty Simpson's bringing. See, I didn't see anything from Buchner that made me believe that Tyler Buchner needs to be the quarterback that we need to be playing because he's the quarterback of the future. I didn't see that at all. I could see it with Ty. Ty was less than perfect. Ty was less than ideal. I think it's arguable as to whether Ty or Jalen Milroe should start the Ole Miss game. That's an argument to me that I think or debate that I'm sure is going on in the football building today to an extent. I think there was enough potential there from Ty to get excited, but also enough bad. You point out the slide, great point about how that was an opportunity for Ty that he just didn't take. And I think that he's a young quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman. He's the same age Milroe was a year ago. So this is a young guy. He's gonna make freshman mistakes, and I think that slide was a big mistake. But this week, Luke, I don't know how to fix it in a week. I don't know that it can be fixed in a week. But the offensive line is it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. I think they ought to try Pritchett at left tackle. I do. I know that kind of message that sends to our 5-star, who's gonna be a fantastic college football player one day. It's just apparent to me that day is not now. I can't imagine that Pritchett wouldn't do as well. But if that's what they think, then leave Proctor out there. But I'm just saying that we're not getting winning play out of that spot. The snaps continue to be horrid. Last week, they're grounders. Yesterday, they were fastballs. The ball was firing out of there. And it's a good thing that Buchner and Simpson are good athletes. Last week, I said Milroe had to play shortstop back there. Buchner and Simpson had to play catcher in the big leagues, catching some closer coming out of the bullpen, throwing 101. I mean, the snaps were just fire. We're so lucky, even with a wet ball.
Jimmy, shouldn't it have been the other way around? Shouldn't the fastball have been against Texas because he's so geeked up in this big game? And shouldn't the wet ball have led to horrible snaps like worm burners in South Florida? That's what's even scarier. We can't screw up what we're supposed to screw up right.
But the snaps are bad. The left tackle's bad. So many people wanted Ferguson playing in front of Dalcourt. I'm not sure this film's going to be kind to Ferguson either. Yesterday, the offensive line, and again, it's what I've kind of been saying all week about Milroe and the quarterback situation. We have so many problems on offense. All anybody wants to talk about is quarterback, including me and Luke, because quarterback's what everybody talks about. But the fact of the matter is, unless the offensive line plays better, and unless we continue to get better and better production out of that running back spot, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. They're not going to win with any of those guys. So that's what's got to be fixed. And I think Saban himself needs to spend considerable time fixing it. And I know he makes all the decisions, but I just think Nick Saban needs to take more control of the offense. Defense is fine. Kevin Steele's veteran. Guys played pretty good yesterday. They've played pretty good most of the year. Last point, the first 7 quarters this year, I think we played pretty good. The Alabama team that played the first 7 quarters of the year is going to beat Ole Miss. The Alabama team that's played the last 5 quarters is going to lose to Ole Miss. I'm telling you guys, that the team that lost to South Florida yesterday and the team that played in the 4th quarter against Texas will not beat Ole Miss.
I totally agree. And, we're using words in this podcast like horrendous, god awful. And those are things you don't normally do when it comes to Alabama football. You don't normally use terms like that. And it's really, really difficult for us to swallow. Now, I'm going to leave everybody with one more bright spot. I was thinking about this today, and I shouldn't think about this today because what we should be thinking about is getting better for Ole Miss. That's what we should be thinking about. And I'm talking about us as fans. I mean, we need all the positive vibes we can get. I'm not much of a, Sedona kind of, put your hands on different rocks and feel the vibes kind of guy. But I think we need to put some positive energy out there as a fan base. So I'm going to say this, that I was thinking today that, all right, if if Alabama is fortunate enough to beat Ole Miss, and right now I'd call it fortunate, you know what? You got the next up, our main competition in the West. LSU welcomes in Arkansas. We kind of need LSU to beat Arkansas. It'd be better, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But then LSU goes to Ole Miss. What if we beat Ole Miss and then Ole Miss turns around and beat LSU? I think that's very possible. Then, Auburn's going to A&M. If the Auburn were to lose at A&M, which, I think is possible, if not probable, and A&M welcomes in Arkansas at Jerry's World, Arkansas could easily win that game, I think. All of a sudden, in 2 weeks, assuming we take care of business against Ole Miss and take care of business against Mississippi State, who looked god-awful, we could really be in a good position to win the West and then, of course, get hammered by Georgia probably in the SEC title game. But winning the West right now with this team is a goal we should have. Not winning the national championship as a fan. We need to tamp down, Jimmy, congratulations, tamp down our expectations for this particular team and take it more game by game. That's just my mini take. I don't even know if that's a bright spot. I'm just trying to get through a Sunday.
Find a way to beat Ole Miss by half a point. I mean, if there's a way to win a game by half a point, do that. I mean, find a way to win this game, and my hope because it would be the best thing that could happen against Ole Miss and for the rest of the season is that Ty Simpson really, really turns a corner next week. That he got his feet wet, and then next week he turns the corner. But I got to admit that's a hope. That's not a prediction. I'm just sitting here open. We'll see.
I'm hoping he turns the corner, but I think he's got to make it to the corner first. I don't think we've even found out. We're on the wrong block right now. So, all right, Jimmy, that's going to do it for today's podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We appreciate you guys so much. Please do sign up for our subtext right there. Join subtext.com/LockedOnBama. Go check that out. We would appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for bearing with us. We're going to get through this as a fan base together. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.